Welcome back. Well, the White House is pushing back this morning on House Republicans' investigations into Hunter Biden and the Biden family influence peddling. A White House counsel's office spokesperson said this: congressional Republicans' top priority is to go after President Biden with politically motivated attacks chock full of long debunked conspiracy theories. But House Judiciary Committee ranking member Jim Jordan pointing out yesterday the FBI and Justice Department has had a long list of issues over the years. Watch this.
2016, they spied on President Trump's campaign. 2018, it was the Mueller investigation. 2020, they suppressed information about the Hunter Biden story. 2022, they raided the president's home 91 days before an election. Maybe it'd be nice if the FBI and the Justice Department just stayed out of it and let we, the people, decide who we think should represent us, who we think should lead us. That's supposed to be how America works. So this is the focus on the Judiciary Committee.
And joining me right now, the man himself, the Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, soon to be the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. And Congressman, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Good to see you, Maria. Good to be with you.
Can you connect the dots to the Biden family influence peddling and the FBI's lack of oversight, connecting the dots to a national security threat to America? Because that's, in my view, what's most important here. It's not about attacking a sitting president's family. It's about what this represents with regard to communist China and other adversaries. Can you connect those dots?
Yeah, it seems like he's doing business deals in all kinds of countries that are adversaries to the United States. It's Ukraine. It's well, Ukraine's not an adversary, but at the time it was a corrupt kind of place when he's over there. But Russia and China. And of course, remember how the story has changed. When we pointed this out yesterday, at first when this came out 2 years ago, it was, oh, no, it's not Hunter Biden's laptop. It's just Russian disinformation. And then it was, well, okay, it's his laptop. Maybe it's really not Russian disinformation. But President Biden wasn't involved. Remember, he said, I have no knowledge of my son's business dealings. Well, now we got all kinds of documents and evidence that are showing that Joe Biden was involved. Hunter Biden was asking to get a key for him to be able to get to his office suite that he had, along with the emissary for the chairman of the Chinese energy company. We know that he was involved. We've had testimony from an eyewitness, Mr. Bobolinsky, who talked about the big guy. So now this story has changed from it wasn't his laptop. It was his laptop, but it was Russian disinformation. Oh, okay, he wasn't really involved. Now it's he's involved, but it didn't impact his decisions as president of the United States. Oh, really? Okay, maybe, but it's changed dramatically. So we do think it's important to get to the bottom of all this and show the American people the truth. And I would just say this to push back on what the White House said. This is not about getting anybody. This is about getting the facts to the American people, which is part of our constitutional duty. And it's about making sure that we don't have a Justice Department that is operating in a political fashion, which we know it currently is. It's about stopping that. That's the focus.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the lies coming out of this White House all the time. You know, 2 quarters of, contraction is not a recession. The border is secure. We're allowed to mandate vaccines. We're allowed to forgive everybody's debt. I mean, but this situation of calling this story a conspiracy theory and a debunked conspiracy theory, how do they get away with that when we know these are all facts? This is all from Hunter Biden's laptop and a Senate investigation by Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley, who have uncovered facts of money, tens of millions of dollars that the Biden family took in from officials tied to the Communist Party of China, the party of China that wants to overtake America as the #1 superpower, putting potentially a sitting president in a compromised position. How do they get away with calling that debunked conspiracy?
Yeah, well, they get away with it because we're not going to let them get away with it. We're going to get the facts out there. But they tend to get away with it because the mainstream press just trumpets whatever they say. Yesterday, Maria, was probably the first time that the Washington Press Corps heard the facts about this story. Yesterday was probably the first time they had to report on the facts about this story. Yesterday was probably the first time that they actually saw, wow, this isn't Russian disinformation. That letter that was sent on October 19th, 2020 from the 51 former intel officials was garbage. That letter that said, oh, this has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. Baloney. So that's what we've been up against. Yesterday was probably the first time that the Washington Press Corps had that presented to them in a concise package where they said, wow, There is something here. So we just got to show the American people what took place. And as you rightly point out, the concerns about ties to the Biden family and these countries like China and Russia, who are our adversaries.
Well, I got a report yesterday from a source who told me that Joe Biden had a second private iPhone paid for by Hunter's firm for the entirety of his vice presidency. And he said that circumvented Secret Service security protocols. Over his 8 years in office, it amounted to $25,000 in undeclared income. Do we know this for sure, that Joe Biden, as vice president, had a second private iPhone?
We don't. I don't know that that's accurate or not. Maybe
Okay.
it is. I don't know. We have not had. But what I do know is this. There are 150 suspicious activity reports. Again,
Yeah.
suspicious activity reports on banking transactions. The committee staff and the committee has only seen 2. And the Biden White House changed the protocols, changed the process.
Yeah.
Used to be committees could see that information, but now all of a sudden the Biden administration, no, you're not going to see it. We'd kind of like to see the other 148. See what's going on. Most Americans never get any, but here you have Hunter Biden, Jim Biden having 150 regarding their business transactions, their banking transactions. I think that's a concern. And if it's not a concern, why did the Biden administration change the policy? So the Biden administration has not complied with any inquiries that came from Mr. Comer in the committee. They've changed the policy on the suspicious activity reports, and they've set up a special office to attack us and attack what the work we're trying to do to get the American people the facts. I think that kind of looks a little strange, frankly, which sort of tells us maybe there is something there that they don't want us to see.
But that's the point. How are you going to deal with this? They're not answering any of, your requests. The White House is reportedly preparing for a number of investigations from a Republican House majority for months. It's looking for new hires. They want to hire additional lawyers to beef up the oversight response team, Congressman. You're going to be, I assume, putting out subpoenas, putting out demands for documents. Yeah. What if they just blow you off? They've got all these lawyers that they're going to hire. Well, what are you going to do about it?
They're going to push back, but we're going to push it. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to do it within, according to the Constitution, but we're going to do it in an aggressive fashion. But I will say this, in 2 weeks, we have the first witness coming to talk to us while we're still in the minority. We've had a witness who was a former employee at the Justice Department. She's coming to talk to us on December 2nd. So it's already started where they're saying, okay, Republicans are in charge. We better just give them the information that they're asking for. So we'll see what we learn in that. But that's our first deposition into this whole political nature at the Justice Department and how they've been operating based on 14 agents. Again, remember, 14 agents who've come talk to us. Yeah. FBI agents who've taken whistleblower status to come talk to us. So this is the first sort of witness we're getting in front of us. And we did that without having to do a subpoena.
Well, our audience knows I'm very concerned about the Chinese Communist Party and their efforts. And so, what about the FBI and the DOJ and that investigation? How far can you take that, Congressman? Because, we have one piece of important news, which I've been talking about. This FBI agent named Elvis Chan. He's one of the FBI agents who tried to hide the Hunter Biden laptop right before the 2020 election. He's going to be deposed. But now I understand that his family is Chinese. He's the first American born. And isn't it true that if he has family in China, that the CCP can bully him into reporting back to the CCP? Mike Pompeo has said to me many times the CCP is now inside the gates of America. Do we have somebody within the FBI and these agencies that are reporting back to the CCP?
I hope not. I don't know that there is. I certainly hope that's not the case. I doubt that that's the case. But I do think it's there are all kinds of concerns and all kinds of ways that China tries to meddle in American affairs. I think we all understand that. We are interested in talking to Mr. Chan about this relationship between big government working with big tech to change the kind of information Americans can see. And in this situation, big tech was giving information, it looks like, to the government about people that they had thought were spreading disinformation. That is, you talk about an attack on First Amendment liberties. And then when you couple that with what we know happened, because Mark Zuckerberg said it happened in the fall of 2020, just days before we have the most important election we have in the country, the election for the commander-in-chief. We have the FBI going to Facebook and saying, hey, be on the lookout for Russian disinformation. And that meeting happened to happen just about the same time that these 51 former intel officials put out that letter that said, oh, it has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. That is a big concern when you got the government weighing in on an election process and what Americans get.
Yeah. That's right. And the New York Post called it the 51 spies who lied. Are you going to subpoena any of those spies who signed that letter to call Hunter Biden's laptop disinformation?
We want to talk to lots of people, Maria. We're putting that list together, and but we do want to talk to a number of folks as we go through this investigation.
All right. We'll be watching it all, Congressman. Thanks very much for your leadership. Thanks very much for being here this morning, Congressman Jim Jordan.